everybody, and welcome to today's video. My name is Kaylee Rademaker, and I am an INFJ 9 Wing 1. Today we are going to be interviewing Natalie Sea, who is a ENFP 7 Wing 8. I did this interview a while ago with someone else, and the footage got corrupted, so I am so sorry that I don't have that video as well, but today we have the luck of being able to talk with Natalie Sea. I will have her channel in the description box below, so you can check out her channel. And she does a lot of writing, and she makes videos on writing and all kinds of interesting things. So you can feel free to check out her stuff in the link below. My website will be in the link below as well if you'd like to book an appointment to talk to me about the Enneagram or things that are going on in your life. I'd love to speak with you. All right, let's get into the video. Hello, Natalie.
Hi.
Thank you for emailing me, reaching out to me to do this video today, and for doing all the fun stuff with Zoom to get it to actually work.
Totally.
So let's just jump into the questions.
Okay.
Okay.
Awesome. Let's do it.
How did you discover what type you are? How did you discover that you're a 7 Wing 8?
Okay. It took a long time. It was quite the chore. It was fun, but it was a chore because when I was in like middle school, I want to say like 8th or 9th grade, I took the Enneagram test, probably just because it was fun, like just because I do things because why not? And I came out as a 4. And I had no idea really like what that meant. And I didn't really look at like my top 3 or anything like that. I was just like, cool, I'm a 4. And I did nothing with it. And then I tested again, like I want to say sometime last year probably. And I was operating under the assumption for a long time that I was an 8. And part of that was my family, like I can be known to be irritable sometimes, which I think is definitely that line to 1 that comes and kicks me sometimes. And so my family was like, you kind of get like a little bit mean. I was like, yeah, that's true. So I just thought I was an 8 for a really long time. And then when the most recent time that I took it, I got, my top 3 were 7, 8, 3. And so I was like, okay. So then I started looking into the, other types more, and the 7's motivations and cores just like hit me so hard. And then still I like wasn't sure for a long time because literally they're like so close. Like for me, the 8's fear of like vulnerability and being betrayed, like for me, that being hurt and being betrayed by people is the emotional pain that the 7 runs from. So they're so close to being the same thing for me that I was really confused. So I got typed recently by a coach, but before that I was pretty much like, I had kind of come to the conclusion that I was a 7 because I definitely relate to being, a head type, and because I really a thinking type, and I really identify with the arrows, the stress and the growth arrows. Like I will plan my day down to like 15-minute increments when I'm super stressed. Like I will be like 6 a.m., wake up, 6:15, have breakfast. It's crazy. So and then, it's just like looking at the sins. The sins were confusing too, because I was like, what's the difference between the lust and the gluttony? Mm-hmm. And when like I learned that lust is more like, I'm taking this, it's mine. Like there's definitely some of that in me, I think, but there's just like the gluttony's out of control. Like it's so, I can't not look at it. And so I was like, okay, if I look at the sins truly, and I didn't think that I ran from pain as much as I do. And now that I know I'm a 7, I totally do. So it was just a lot of
it's like behind every door and under every rug. Oh my goodness, pain, I'm running away from. No.
literally, like I'll be playing Mario Kart at like 1 a.m. and I'm like, I'm doing it again. Like what's happening? Like, so it's crazy. So yeah, it was just a lot of self-discovery and kind of months of exploring and learning more about the Enneagram and stuff like that. So took a while, but I was like, there's definitely a lot of 8 there. It's just only when I need it. It's a wing, I use it when I need it, but it's not fully who I am. So
yeah. Yeah. And it can be difficult figuring out if you do have a really strong line to 5 and to 1 of you incorporate that other anger type, and 5 and 8 are, they each other too. So it's like, wait a minute. And if you're saying 7, 8, and 3 are in your top types, you're assertive, and assertive.
I know. Learning about that, I kind of looked at that and I was like, okay, so there's like nothing to press the brake here. There's no stop. There's only go.
Yeah.
So much.
Yeah. And on the topic of, you mentioned the sins of gluttony and lust. One big distinguishing thing between them is the 8s with their lust are like, oh, I love this thing. I want more of this thing. I want to do it more intensely of this thing that I like. 7s are like, sampling, like, let's see all the things. And so there's that intensity versus like the board, like trying everything at the buffet. It's not about I want to eat as much, it's just I want to eat all.
And the boredom is something that came up too. Like I realized I just don't allow myself to be bored. Like I was like, I don't really feel bored ever, and it's because I just stay doing things. And I think that the 8's intensity of really like zeroing in on that one thing would be stressful for me, because I'm like, but wait, okay, but this thing's great, but like I'm stuck now,
I have to commit.
What if this thing comes up? So I can definitely see where it differs there for sure. But it was hard for a while to tell.
With the 8 wing, for the 9 and for the 7, that 8 wing it really affects the type in a visible way to everyone else. If you're a 5 with a 6 wing or a 5 with a 4 wing, it might not look very different to other people because they might not know you very much. But if you're a 9 with an 8 wing or a 7 with an 8 wing, it really affects the way that your relationships and your communication and everything looks.
Yes, so much.
Yes.
So much.
Okay. How do you notice your 8 wing in your everyday life?
Okay, so I notice it a lot. I feel like it definitely, I can definitely feel that like gut instinct there more. Like I feel like a 7 wing 6 might be more in their head, but I definitely have that gut feeling sometimes of like, this is what I'm going to do, or like, just go, and then that, like, there was a video where your dad was talking about the wings, and he was like, the 7 is gluttony and the 8 is lust. And you put that together and it's like so crazy. And I was like, that's like a deadly combo, because it can get really intense. So I have to kind of like managing my time, sticking to a schedule, being responsible, all very hard for me, because I'm just like, so just, I don't know, it's so hard to slow down and I don't know, just think things through in the way that a 6 might, or do things in the way like a 9 might. And then I definitely am more aggressive. Like I have that 7's fear of hurting people. So I'm nervous to be, fully 8 aggressive, but I definitely will get in fights and the 8 in me will come out. And if it's a nice, kind conversation, I like to debate things. Like if we're going to be nice to each other about it, we can debate politics, we can debate like whatever. I feel like that's not a caveat for the 8. I feel like the 8 probably isn't like, be nice to me if we do this. But so I like, debating with people. I definitely like challenging people. I like challenging constructs. I am kind of known to be rebellious and just a little bit intense. So
Well, it's interesting that you said when you first typed, those aren't all
the tests aren't super reliable, but they can be good indicators. And
Right.
knowing that you are a 7-winged 8, the 4, the 7-winged 8 is called the realist because they're just being real. They're just doing life how they really want to most of the time. And
Yes.
it can be similar looking as the authenticity of the 4. And when you have gluttony and lust as the sins, comparing that to envy and vanity of the 4-wing 3, the more assertive of the 4s, it could be confusing, like from the outside looking in, if you're just looking into the Enneagram, it could be like, wait, which one am I? But yeah, that's
totally.
Yeah, that's so interesting.
And I've heard that the sexual 7 too can look a lot like a 4. So I wonder if I was like more in that instinct, but that's definitely a big thing for me is like, and I had to kind of pin down that it wasn't as much about living authentically as it was like, just don't make me do something I don't want to. Like, but they look so similar for sure. Like it was confusing for a minute. Absolutely.
Yeah. What do you consider to be your biggest achievement?
My biggest achievement. So that's interesting. Do like an inventory of my life really quick. I write books, so I think that's a big achievement. Anytime I finish a book, I'm like, yes. And it's hard to stick. Like I am often like, oh, I want to write about this idea that I just had now. So it's hard to like force myself to stay with one book and one idea. So when I finish one, it's a big deal. And then also I would probably say that I am almost 3 months sober, which is a huge thing that I'm really proud of. It's been tough, but it's been like, I'm proud of myself for doing that.
Yeah,
so
that's
it's
so
like,
awesome.
Thank you. It's probably, I would guess, one of the like toughest things for a 7 to do. So I'm proud of that for sure.
Yeah, you're pushing yourself and, choosing something and going towards that even when it's painful, of like, okay, mind over matter.
Yes. And it's been so hard to learn that, like going towards the pain, leaning towards the pain. And that's what sobriety is. And that's another thing too. Like when I learned that sobriety is the 7's like virtue, I was like, okay, like that's totally it. Like I could use that in my entire life. So yeah, it's been good. It's so tough, but it's so good.
Yeah. It's so counterintuitive for a lot of the types, but especially for the 7, I think a lot for the 9 and the 2, because all 3 of those are the optimists. But the 2 is okay with experiencing pain with people. The 9 kind of just avoids, but doesn't like run away. That's a little too much energy, most of the time. The 7 really is actively going away from pain. And then when you realize, it's actually more painful in the end. I could face the pain in front of me or this future pain that's bigger, and it's hard.
That's like the main thing I have to remind myself in sobriety is like, you're going to regret that. Like it's going to be worse down the road. Like that's a huge help. And that just reminded me, saying that the 7 is the one that's actively avoiding pain. That's another way that I see my 8-wing come up is like, I get the most aggressive when someone is causing me or myself or me or someone else pain. So like, if there's not that element of pain there, I'm really not going to dip into that 8-wing probably, but sorry, my alarm's going off, but I absolutely will if there's pain involved. So that's like definitely actively trying to get away from it for sure.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, what are your 3 best qualities that you can think of?
3 best qualities. I would say I'm kind. That's an important one. And definitely with that 8-wing, it's a tough one sometimes. And with the line to 1, it's a tough one sometimes. but yeah, kind and friendly. I'm creative, which I love, being creative, and that's another thing that was confusing about the 4, because I'm definitely, I'm an author, I'm a musician. So I love any and all creating. And then I would say I'm adventurous, and spontaneous would probably be like the last one. Like um I think that's much needed sometimes, because you can get very like bogged down by all the have tos and the shoulds and like just real life. And so that's really, really helpful for me. And I hope for the people around me. I know it can be crazy sometimes, but it's very helpful for me to just have the ability to drop things and go do whatever I want and be that adventurous person. So yeah.
Trying to spice up your life and others.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I love when people come on adventures with me. So for sure.
When do you feel the most confident and when do you feel the most insecure?
Um, I think that I probably feel the most confident when, and this sounds so counterintuitive and almost crazy, but I look at myself a lot and I'm like, you're crazy. Um, I think I'm the most confident when I'm taking really big risks, like doing some. It's probably the adrenaline, but like when I'm doing something um, that is intense or that is just so fun, or I really have that ability to kind of. This is how I pinned down that I wasn't a 3, because I have that ability to set aside like my image and worrying what people will think about me, to just go like live it up and have fun and be insane sometimes. And so I think that I'm the most confident when I'm just allowing myself to do those things and to have fun. And then most insecure, I would say I I'm not often insecure, because I do think that 8 wing comes in and like stomps on it if I feel any insecurity. Um, but I do get worried sometimes that like people are like I was realizing this yesterday, because I've also been learning more about Myers-Briggs and I'm an ENFP, and I was realizing that if I was just in a group of Enneagram 7s or a group of ENFPs, I would probably be like 1,000 times more adventurous than I am. But I do have that fear that like that people aren't that I'm gonna make people tired, or they're not gonna want to like be around it and stuff. Or like just like being vulnerable, I guess, because of the risks that I take. Um, and then I'm also insecure. I definitely feel that like line to 5. I feel a little bit insecure when I don't know enough to handle a situation, or when I feel like I might not be the one best to lead in a situation or handle something. And then just with that 7 wing 8, like both of those types, just like the whole feeling of you're a little bit too much. You're kind of a lot to handle and to deal with. And so I sometimes feel like I have to kind of tamp that down to like make sure other people aren't getting overwhelmed or feeling, anxious. So I guess those are a few like insecurities for me.
Yeah. That there's a song by Lord. I think that's how, anyways, I think she's a 4, but a lot of 7, 8, 4 energy from her songs and stuff. And she has one song called Liability. And I think that is a wonderfully encapsulates that kind of insecure feeling that you were mentioning, of like one of the lines is something like people will come and I'll get them wild and then I'll make them leave. You're a little much for me, you're a liability. Like people love me for a season and then I'm too much and then they leave me, so they love me, but what they love me for is also what they leave me because of. And so there's like this push pull. And anyways, it just was making me think of that. And like,
no, totally.
Yeah.
Or they leave because I think that sometimes like I would suggest so many more crazy off the cuff things to do. And if I knew people would go with me, but like, that's another thing is like, yeah, it's just like, I feel like if I get too intense, if I say something, if I suggest that we do something too crazy, you're going to be out of there, for sure.
Yeah.
That totally fits.
Okay. What does your inner critic tell you?
Inner critic. So this is interesting because my mom is a 1. And before learning more about her experience as a 1, I thought I had an inner critic. Now I'm like, I really don't. Sorry, my earbuds. Okay, this one is still working. The other one just died. I really I definitely have had times in my life when I can hear that one voice, just because, I did grow up with a mom who's a 1, but then I think I spend a lot of time in my stress arrow because I'm still learning how to navigate life by being a moderate 7, so that I don't always like have to go there to get things under control again. But I think that so sometimes I think that it comes out the most like if I cause people pain, it's like, okay, it'll say that was bad. You like, that's not what good people do, kind of. Like, it's not the same as a 1, but it'll come in with that, like, you need to fix the pain you just caused. And then I think also, like, I don't hear an inner critic before or during the crazy things, but then after I do something really crazy and impulsive, my inner critic will come in and be like, you might have just ruined your life. Like, you need to like calm down. So I think that those are probably, yeah. Yeah. Like, why did you not stop yourself sooner? Why did you just do that? So I think those are probably the biggest times that I hear an inner critic.
Yeah. And what's funny is talking with the when I did my other 7 interview and my 8 interview, I'm pretty sure I did it a long time ago, but I'm pretty sure the same answer for the inner critic of like, nothing, but if I did hear something, it would go something like this, like,
yeah, like it kind of comes a little bit late sometimes, or other people have to be my critic for me. Like, I think that's what my mom did a lot growing up. Like, she was like, you have to be under control a little bit. Like, I definitely would have been such a wild kid if I didn't have a 1 mom. Like, it would have been crazy. So for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. The idea, well, I think, how which I guess one of our last questions, I suppose I'm jumping ahead of myself a little bit, is in relationship to how the 7 goes to 5 and goes to 1. And that 7 going to 1, I feel like can be kind of summed up in like, if you choose to go to 1 when you're not in stress of like, okay, what would a 1 do now so that I'm not forced to go there to clean up the mess, is like parent yourself. Otherwise other people will parent you. And so being like, okay, if I control myself, then other people won't control me, or at least won't be as likely to try to. And it's hard.
And I feel like that 8 in there definitely helps too. Like, the 8's, the adult of the Enneagram. So that is also definitely helpful. It does bring in that lust, which, it's kind of a double whammy, but it also brings in a little bit more responsibility and realism, which is helpful.
And
so
the swiftness towards action, whereas the 7 wing 6 could just ponder and think and keep looking at their options and keep thinking and being afraid to move to action, which might keep them from doing the crazy things, but it might also keep them from doing the hard decisions. Sometimes the 7 wing 8 might do the crazy thing, but then also be able to move past the crazy thing,
I can't sit in that, like, I'll think about it space for very long at all. Like, I'm like, okay, I've thought about it. I need to go.
Perfect. Good. Next. Okay. What is the best feeling and the worst feeling?
Geez, this is going to sound like very cliche and 7-ish, but I truly think the best feeling is just like true freedom. Like, just true, absolute freedom. Um, like, I freelance and I love that because I can like just go work wherever I want. And I can like sometimes decide, well, I don't want to do this work right now. I'm going to do that in a couple hours. Like it's so nice to have that. And so that's a little bit of freedom just in normal life. But if it wasn't normal life, like I have had moments before where I'm like, I'm going to buy an old van. I'm going to renovate it. It's going to be so fun. It's going to be such a fun project. And then I'm going to go to every state. And then I'm going to go who knows where else. Like I'm going to visit every national park, or like just being able to like have enough money and have the lack of responsibility to just be able to like go wherever I want and do whatever I want whenever. Like I sometimes get a little taste of that in real life, and that's probably the best. And then also like the lust of the eight comes in for sure, like with just intense moments. Like the other day it was snowing and it was like really cold, and I was sprinting through the park as fast as I could with like my earphones blaring music, and it was like just like so much adrenaline and like intensity that I was like, this is amazing. And like, you know, driving fast down the freeway with like windows down and there's cold air like smacking you, and you have like loud music, and it's just craziness. Like those are both really, really great feelings, I think. And
Yeah.
then the worst feeling is the opposite of that. When you like, I think that it's when you realize that there is nothing else you can do. Like there's nowhere else to run. There's nothing else that can distract. There's no other action to take. You're in it. You're in the negativity, whether it's like just like being trapped in any way, like sadness, grief is a big one that's like so tough for me. Sickness, like I you know, kind of get sick a lot. My poor immune system. It might be because I push myself so hard, but then I'm in that sickness, and it's like you can't make yourself get better faster, really. Like you kind of just have to live with it. So kind of bigger stuff like that, but then also just like in smaller everyday things. The other day I was in Walmart and I was like walking through Walmart and I was like, there's camping stuff, or like, oh my gosh, there's really nice soap over here and it smells so good. And what if I wanted new soap? And oh my gosh, wait, there's like this new beauty product, and wait, there's spray paint and we could spray paint things, like, and then you can't like buy any of it. That's also very hard. Like it's like, but I'm seeing there's so much. And I tried really hard to have self-control the other day walking through Walmart, and I kind of succeeded. But just stuff like that, that's where you can see everything that you want or everything that would be possible, and like you can't do any of it. That is so tough.
A little
for
bit
sure.
of that pain with the eight of not being in control, but
Yeah,
not just not being in control, but not being in control to get away from the pain. I can't just get this thing or move to the next thing or get out of this thing, like you were saying with grief. And like there's only so far you can run away from your feelings. And
yeah.
what's funny is I have two good friends who are sevens, and one of them, she's so funny. Her and I were talking the other day, and I said something about, I was like, look, you can't just keep running away from this painful thing. And she just looked up and like little tears in her eyes. She's like, watch me, and just started laughing. And I was like, okay, well, and she was like, no, is that not right? And I was like, well, let's talk about it. But I just thought that was so funny. Like, look, you know, it doesn't just go away. She's like, okay, yeah, we'll make it happen. You know, will it to come?
And it's so tough because if you like, for me in those watch me moments, like if I drop that watch me and I just am like, yeah, you're right, I can't, then I get so bogged down by it, and it's so tough. And so like it feels like I can't, like you might be right, but I'm not going to think about it. I'm gonna go this way, you know, because like it feels like you're gonna be in it forever. It truly does.
Yeah. If you think about pain as a hallway, and at the end of the hallway there's a door that leads outside, and outside is beautiful out. and you're like, this house is the worst, it's awful in here and it smells like cat pee everywhere. This place I hate it. And you're like, well, you have to walk down the hallway. And then you can go outside, and it's like, no, the hallway's even worse. The walls are closing in on me, and it's dark and it's creepy. And it's like, yeah, but you have to go through that to get to something better. And it's so hard to see that is true when you're facing the hallway, when you're looking at like this dark, creepy thing and being like, I can't see the door. Are you sure?
Yeah.
Like, is there the door? I don't know. And
that's a really, really good. That's exactly how it is for sure. And I think,
sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, it's also tough because it's like, okay, well, you say that it's nice out there, but what if I get there and it's just like a wall? Yeah. And then I've like walked through this dirty, scary hallway to get to this wall. Like everyone else says it's so nice outside, but is that really going to lead outside? Like, yeah.
Does it go outside? And what if I can't come back?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The enthusiasm. So the 7 as the enthusiast, if you're going into everything all or nothing and you have to experience pain, that's hard to experience all of the pain, if you feel so intensely these good things, to also allow yourself to feel so intensely these bad things. So it's it's difficult, and it's difficult to find the balance of, okay, how can I process it a little bit at a time or experience pain a little bit at a time? But
yeah, like I like honestly have no idea how to do that. Like I'm like, what? You want me to what? Like that's so hard, for sure.
It's difficult. What keeps you up at night? But you're saying Mario Kart. That's one thing that keeps you literally awake at night is Mario Kart.
I would say just like all the stimulation and noise that I have going all the time. Like I will literally play Mario Kart with Netflix going, with a podcast, with YouTube, like, and then I will just be up until the early hour. Like I just, like whatever I choose that day to be my like I don't know, bedtime routine, except it's really not. Like I'll play Legend of Zelda, I'll play Mario Kart, but also I have realized lately like that I think one of the first things it says on like that, I don't even know what the website is, but it's like the general Enneagram website, like the first thing that pops up, it gives you like the 9 levels of health and stuff. And then it says like, there's a part about addictions. And like the first thing that it says for the 7 is like, can have problems with stimulants like caffeine. And I was like, I've been drinking so much caffeine for like 5 years. And so the caffeine will literally keep me up. I've been realizing lately that I need to like start working on cutting that out, because it's quite the issue. But just like all the things that I'm doing and all the caffeine, and like I just have such a hard time like stopping and just like being like, okay, I'm gonna like I have to take Tylenol PM most nights. And literally like I don't live with roommates anymore, but when I did, I was like at college with a couple of my best friends, and my best friend like every night at like 10:30 would be like, okay, I'm gonna go to bed now. She'd be like, I have to go to bed, and still today, like she'll be like, I have to go do homework. And I'm like, the homework thing's another thing. I'm like, you're gonna be responsible and do homework, what? But when she's like
nighttime is the time that we do what we want.
I know, yeah. And so when she's like going to bed, I literally was like, at first I was like, wait, am I supposed to be tired? Am I supposed to be getting tired? Like, I don't let myself get tired. And I feel like I shouldn't be getting tired. And that's another thing about like sadness too, is like, I shouldn't be feeling this. Like there's the 8 energy of there's so much to do. There's the 7 energy of there's also so much to do, but it's going to be so great. Like, and it's not great.
Fear of missing out.
And being tired and being sad isn't fun. And then there's the 3 energy of like, there's can't pay attention to that. I have to keep going. And so,
Mhm.
yeah, it all just kind of smacks me. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's literally just my brain, I guess, like, and anything I decide to distract it with that keeps me
Well,
up at
and I
night.
think it's interesting that you were saying that Tylenol PM, that you're taking this to help you sleep, because it's like, okay, I'm tired now. Time for me to be asleep. It is time for me to do this, time for me to sleep. There's not this like downtime of like, okay, I'm getting groggy. I'm laying here.
Oh,
Whatever thoughts come into my mind, it's
yeah,
awake or
that's
asleep. If you
true. I haven't
um,
thought.
well,
That's very
and
true.
um, talking about the caffeine addiction, I'll try not to ramble on too long because I don't need to just dump all my information all over the place.
Oh,
But
no,
I love like nutrition and health nutrition. I got like a certification in nutrition because I love it. I think it's so interesting. But caffeine, I think, relating it to the Enneagram, caffeine, I think, is a wonderful chemical that is similar to like the qualities, some of the qualities of the seven, of like, it looks like the seven is running towards fun. It looks like they're running towards all the stuff.
Mhm.
And when you sit with it long enough, you see that you're running away from boredom and pain and tedium. It's not that there's something good you're trying to get as much as anything good to get away from
Yep.
the monster at the end of the book. And
Yep.
caffeine is one of these things where it makes you feel like you have so much energy,
Mhm.
when really it blocks the hormones in your brain that are telling you that you're tired. So it's not that it's boosting your energy like, say, sugar might do. It's not that it's giving you
Oh,
anything, it's that it's blocking the bad. So it's like, okay, so
like,
it's the
like
same kind of, anyways, that's just something
that,
I
I didn't actually know that. But yeah, and then once you're in it and you're drinking way too much caffeine, it's like, okay, I have to go through 2 weeks of being exhausted
Mhm.
to like get back to my body making normal energy. Like that sounds
Mhm.
not great.
Well, and that's the thing. It's like, okay, so if since caffeine isn't giving you energy, then taking away caffeine is just allowing your body to feel all the things that it has been feeling, but you haven't allowed yourself to experience. So it's like, okay, all the pain was still there. It's just covered up. It's just blocked by the caffeine. Kind of like ibuprofen, like the pain, except
Yeah.
that actually lowers inflammation. Anyways.
Interesting.
Okay.
That's
Well, this is kind of, we kind of touched on it a little bit, but what do you like to do to unwind?
yeah, so I've been thinking about this. I literally was thinking about this earlier and I was like, I think I upwind.
Mhm.
Like I think I think that I will literally be feeling stressed and I'm like, okay, I gotta go sprint through the park, or like I gotta go, jump off of something tall. Like I want to go skydiving like every other day. But like I'm so bad at relaxing. Like there's either like turn it up and be more intense, or there's just like look at this instead. But when I do actually relax, I feel like I have to be relaxed to relax. Like
Mhm.
it's weird. Like if I don't know, maybe that means that I'm like in a more five space, because there's this beautiful canyon by my house and I often will go there, and like there's this restaurant there that has this beautiful pretty like window that looks at the mountain, and I can like sit and write my book, and just I like to go alone. I like to just go alone and sit in that little restaurant, and then I like will go up to the lake that's up there and walk around the lake. And so I feel like that's a very five-ish day. But I have to like feel kind of relaxed to do that. So I'm still trying to hack. How can I just like feel like that most of the time, or some more of the time? But when I am actually relaxing, um, it's like being outside in nature. And then like rainy days are huge also. Like rainy days are just so like calming and nice to me. Um, but yeah, other than that, it's like, yeah, constantly turning up energy, I feel like, and being like, because I also feel like if I'm stressed or anything like that, I feel like it gets stuck. Like I have to do something with it, or else it turns into like me picking my nails or like going to one and getting really stressed about things. And so I feel like I kind of feel like I have to upwind to get the stress out so that it doesn't like eat me alive. But yeah, so unwinding is quite the journey for me, I think, trying to figure out how to do that.
Yeah, how to cultivate relaxation, or instead of just finding yourself there like, oh, you know what, I'm in the mood to go right, be like, okay, now that I'm not taking Tylenol PM and I'm not drinking caffeine, what do I do?
Yeah.
How do I get my energy to go down? Yeah, that's hard. And
it sounds impossible when you say it like that. Like, I'm like, how do you do that?
Yeah, well, what's funny is my dad, who's a 7 wing 6, he'll take a nap most afternoons, but I wouldn't say I usually ever see him sleepy. He is either awake or asleep. He's not sleepy. He drinks caffeine, but he doesn't have any problem with his naps. He'll just, come 3:00, it's bored time. It's time to be bored because nothing's really going on. If the work day is done and everybody's just kind of sitting around and, we're waiting for people to be done with stuff. He's like, all right, I'm going to go take a nap. Oh, and he lays down, like as soon as his head hits the pillow, he's asleep. And then 30 minutes later, he's like, oh, I feel great. Oh, wonderful. I'm going to drink, another coffee and it's time to go. And it's like,
wow, that's kind of awesome.
Yeah. How did you get rested in 30 minutes? Like that's all I needed. It's like the pain of boredom is kind of attacked in a more 6 way of like, this doesn't bother anyone. This is less intense. This is more, to myself. But anyways, I just think that's funny of like, yeah, I'm not sure like when I've ever seen him be sleepy. It's just like asleep or awake, That's
interesting. Yeah, I have never thought of taking a nap to quell my boredom. Like part of the reason that I like caffeine is because part of getting the caffeine like is going to the car and driving away and driving through the city and going to get a soda and then driving home. Like it gets me out of the house and it, shakes up my whatever I'm doing and makes me feel like more refreshed and like, okay, I got outside, like if I've been inside until 3 p.m., I'm like so exhausted and I'm like, oh, this is the worst. So that's so interesting that he's able to do that. Maybe I should try it.
Well, what's funny is like, I'm a 9 who likes comfortable things. And I'm like, I drink a lot of caffeine, but I'm fine with decaf. I just like the warm drink. Like, ooh, I'm holding my mug and it's so cozy, Yeah. It's just funny how everyone's different. Okay. How do you notice yourself going to your health point and your stress point? So 1 in stress and 5 in health. And you mentioned it a little bit of like the writing and the anxiety and, frustration.
Yeah. So I know I'm doing really, really well when I am regularly writing, because that's like every day I will force myself to sit and look at my computer and like immerse myself in my book and just be there and some days, if it's a really good writing day, I can do that for hours and hours. I can really just like zone in and forget that the world exists. So that's like when I'm doing really well. And so when I start to be like when I move away from writing and I'm like feeling more stressed and like I don't have time for it and I need to, that's something I've experienced a lot is like that stress about I'm running out of time. Like I need to go I need to go. So I think that's a big way that the 5 arrow shows up for sure. I also think it just shows up in like really loving to learn and to share what I've learned. That's a big thing. And I also I feel like sometimes I go into the blind spot of like the unhealthy side of the 5 a little bit. Like sometimes I'll withdraw and stuff. Maybe it just feels unhealthy because I'm withdrawing, which maybe isn't normal for me. And maybe I need to reframe that. But
reframe that.
But I definitely will like, have moments where I'm like, I'm feeling kind of tired. Like, I just want to have some time to myself today. Like, that's another big five thing I think is like when I'm taking care of myself, I kind of want to do it alone. And I kind of want to just have isolated, calm moments, where I'm not interrupted, I'm not intruded on, I'm just, hanging out. And so I think that's all very five-ish.
And a lot of growth does happen on your own. Like a lot of this is internal, and you're saying about your journey with sobriety, that has to come from this internal desire, and you're the one who's making sure. And like that takes a lot of focus and attention and internal willpower and reminding yourself, okay, not the feelings, not the habits, but my thoughts on the matter, my choices. What am I choosing?
Yeah, definitely separating from the feeling, because the feelings can be so turbulent that like, they can change in like 5 seconds. So it's definitely important to channel that five of like, okay, what are the facts here? Like, what did we think 5 minutes ago? And I think the 8 wings definitely very helpful in that too, because the 8 gives me so much more willpower than I would probably have, and so much more just like, this is hard, I have to do it. Oh well, which is also very helpful. But then for the 1 arrow, I feel like I grew up, with a mom who's a 1, and I also grew up religious, and so that's all very 1, energy, I feel like. And so I feel like I spent a lot of time in my stress arrow growing up just worrying about being good and doing the right thing. It would show up a lot in school. Like the second I got to high school, I was like, I need to write down every single assignment I get, or I'm going to miss them all. I will forget all of them. I need to write every single one down. I need to write exactly when they're due. I need to do them. And it would show up with teachers and like your dad was talking about in one of his videos, a soft rebellion is the 7 versus like hard rebellion is the 8. And I definitely think that, because it's true that, the authority figures and the teachers and stuff can ruin your life if you are too aggressive. And so the 1 came out there with like, I don't want this teacher to have me in pain later. So I'm going to be very 1-ish and do the right thing and be good and get on their good side and be the good girl and like all that stuff. And then as far as like currently, because I know a lot of that was like past stuff, currently, I'm trying to use the healthy side of the 1 more. So I force myself to make lists and to do them when it's kind of funny talking about my stress arrow because I feel like it's so ridiculous. But when I really, really go to 1, I'm like just so stressed and irritable. And like there's like I will become compulsive about the lists. Like I mentioned earlier, I used to schedule out my day like so crazy 15-minute increments. And I was going to say something else, but I lose the middle of my sentence all the time. I can't remember. Maybe it will come to me. But yeah, like the 1
AM, you'll be like, oh yeah, that's what that was.
Yeah. But there's so much 1 energy, I feel like. Oh, I was going to say when I'm cleaning, I will put off cleaning for a long time until like I'm having a party or a gathering or something. And then I'm like, okay, I have to clean really fast right now. And then like the 1 in me will show up when I'm cleaning because I'm like, this is not organized perfectly. These things are not straight. There's so much chaos in this little container. Like I should buy organizers and I should do this better next time. And I literally last time I was cleaning and having these thoughts, I was like, Nat, you're a 7. Like you're not going to care tomorrow. Tomorrow you're going to look at that and be like, it's fine. But like when I'm in my stress arrow, I am like, this needs to be fixed. Like,
yeah. So intensely, enthusiastically. Yeah.
Yeah.
Scrupulosity, very scrupulous. Yes. Yes. So he's scrutinizing every little detail when it's not the way it ought to be, of, okay, there are crumbs on the counter. That doesn't mean that I need to get a divorce. That means that there are crumbs on the counter. Okay.
Yeah.
But
yeah. So when I super stressed, it definitely shows up for sure.
Okay. And last question. What are you tired of hearing people say about type 7s?
Yes. I'm like, what to choose? I think a big one is that we're always happy. Like, I had a hard time figuring out that I was a 7 and believing I'm a 7 because I'm not happy a lot of the time. Like, I'm not happy a lot of the time. I'm distracted, or I'm doing something else, or I'm working, or and it actually really is like I went through this program a year and a half ago, I think, that like had you check in with your emotions every day. And it took me about a month to realize like I could put happy here. I guess maybe I'm happy, like, because I'm not unhappy, but it's hard to recognize and really feel happy just because like for us it really is excitement is our happiness.
Yeah.
And so if we're just normal, it's very hard to be like, yeah, I'm happy right now, because it's like, well, I'm just sitting here. So yeah, I think that stereotype that we're always happy is a little bit damaging because it makes it even harder to allow pain, and it makes it and a struggling 7 can be the total opposite of happy. Like it's very like, all or nothing type thing. And so especially with that 8 in there. So that can be really tough. And then I think also that like I hear a lot that we avoid all negative emotions, which might be more for like suitable or fitting for the 7 wing 6. But for me, with that 8 wing and then that connection to 1, like I'm very comfortable with frustration and even anger. Like I definitely feel energized by anger sometimes, like the 8 does. And frustration is just where I live sometimes. Irritability is where I live sometimes. So like that thought that 7s don't get frustrated, they're just happy people, is also not really true. So I think those are the 2 things.
Yeah. 7s and 2s are applauded in their unhealth and their compulsion.
Yeah.
When a 7 is entertaining everyone and they're telling you to do whatever you would like to do and being the good cop. And the 2 is, doing things for you and showing you love constantly and meeting all of your needs. They're applauded. And so it's really hard for them to grow past it because then all of that appreciation and all of the applause is turned away. Everybody who was like, oh yeah, you're so fun. If you're like, well, I don't feel like being fun right now, then oh, okay. People aren't used to that. If you're usually this way, when you realize I don't want to do this anymore, you can get a negative response from other people when a 6 is like, you know what, I am going to move towards 9. I'm going to relax. I'm going to try to calm down. I'm going to try to get some time by myself. Everyone might go like, okay, they're being relaxed. They're not just worried all the time. I'm glad to see that in them.
Yeah.
When the 1 decides to lighten up and have some fun and do something goofy, everybody's like, oh, look at that. That's fun. When the 7 says, I'm going to go by myself, I'm going to think about things, I'm going to do the hard things, I'm not going to have fun right now. Everyone's like, can you just go back to being Robin Williams? Can you go back to being Miley Cyrus? Can you like entertain us again? Like, this isn't fun anymore.
So hard, because then you're like, I really want to.
Like, don't push me. Yeah.
And then like if you come in with like what happened? Like, you're being boring. You got boring. It's like, I'm what? I'm sorry. Like, but wait, no, I'm not boring. So yeah, I can't
remember if it's for the ENFP or for the 7. It was
either one applies to me.
yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Either one should be, but I can't remember which one it was for. I think it was for 7s, but it was like insults that like damaging things to say to this type. Do not say this. It is damaging. It's like, you are boring and unoriginal.
Yeah. If someone
like-
legit said that to me, I'd be like, I don't cry in front of people, so I have to go.
So I guess I'll just have to beat you up. I don't.
Here's my 8 wing.
That's my
You
only
have to-
options, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. So tough to like, yeah. So it takes a lot of determination and like kind of tuning that out to truly grow, I think, for sure.
Yeah. And to have people help facilitate growth for you, to encourage growth, to be like, okay, you know, you're not always, it's not healthy for a person to always be the exact same way all the time. They should, you know, be a little bit different and different, you know.
Yeah. And like my dad is a 9 and he'll always be like, don't hang on to these negative feelings when I'm like in a 1 frustrated space. And I'm like, please just let me be frustrated. I will run from it forever. Like you kind of need to feel it. And I also think like it's super important for people to encourage us to slow down, but in a way that's not entrapment, you know, like if someone says to me, you're going too fast, you need to calm down. I'm like, you know, first of all, the 8's like, don't tell me what to do. And the 7 is like, no. And so like, it really, I think, takes a delicate touch of someone to be like, hey, you might be doing a little too much right now. Like, are you feeling okay? Or like, if I come in with this crazy idea, like I just dyed my hair purple. If I come in and say, I want to dye my hair purple, maybe be like, do you want to talk about something? Like,
let's
you know,
dye our hair brown together, you know. You know, it's like baptizing a cat. Your intentions are good, but what are you doing? Like, you're not going to have a good result, you know. There's going to be lots of fighting all the way.
Yeah, exactly.
So, yeah, that makes sense. Well, I think I really appreciate you doing this with me, and
totally.
I assume that it will be received well. I've had a lot of people be like, I've been looking forward to this. And I was like, I'm sorry. I did actually film. This is one of the videos I filmed with another 7-winged 8 a while ago. And the footage just. Yeah.
That's so annoying.
Yeah. So I feel so bad, but it happened. Anyways.
But I feel kind of lucky. You know, I'm glad I was able to do this. It was so fun. And I hope it helps people for sure.
Yeah. Is there a way that people can stay in touch with your music or your writing or with any of that stuff?
Yeah, thank you for asking. I actually have my own YouTube channel where I do educational writing stuff. So that's under Natalie Sea, SEA. And then I also have a writing Instagram that's at Natalie Sea Writing. And then there's links to my website on both of those places, and they can always email me like through the contact stuff on my website. So if they ever want to talk with me directly about writing stuff or Enneagram stuff, it's just nataliesea.weebly.com. So,
okay. And I'll have you just email me your link to your channel, and I'll put that in the description box. That'll be
awesome.
under this video so that people can keep up with you and kind of see what's going on in your world. So
that would be so awesome. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
That's so nice.
Of course. Thanks for being on my channel today. Perfect.
Yeah.
All
Thanks
right.
for having me. So nice to talk to you.
Yeah. Hopefully I will see you again sometime soon. And yes, I'll see you around. Bye, Natalie.
Bye. Thanks.
Thank you everybody for watching. I hope you enjoyed listening to our conversation about being a 7-winged 8. I will see you guys in the next video. All right. Have a good one. Bye.